some of the things I thought we could, I mean, I don't want to necessarily go real deep on the first episode.
Sure.
Because we might not, like real philosophical. But there have been some Stoic philosophers that have said the obstacle is the way.
It is.
And so if we just took that as the obstacle is the way, could we maybe talk a little bit about, your story or, what that means, what that might mean to you, what that might mean to other people and whatnot. We can go anywhere with this, obviously.
The obstacle is the way, what that might mean to
Super.
me. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, I was going to play a little. That's okay. I was going to play a little music. Let's see here.
Is this our introduction?
So, yeah, this is going to be our intro.
Okay.
Intro song. What would be your walk-on song for CrossFit, Rachel?
Ooh. Maybe like Thunderstruck.
All right, a little Thunderstruck coming on. Okay. What about you, Tony?
I think mine would probably be something from the Nas album from 1994, Illmatic. Any one of those songs specifically would probably, it's only 10 tracks only, so any one of those would be great.
All right, well, we'll give it a try. So turn up the volume on the, that one that says blue, yeah, maybe that one or the next one over. No, to the other side. There you go. All right, Rachel.
Oh, no.
We're just getting you pumped up a little bit here, okay? Thinking about CrossFit.
Let's do it. I'm in, Bob.
All right, you're all in.
She's
So
in.
The obstacle is the way. That's the theme for today. What has been one of the toughest workouts that you've done that you've actually felt maybe like, you might, I don't know. I mean, I've had a workout or two where I've thought about crying actually in the workout, but maybe you can tell me your own personal experience. Go for that.
So fun fact, actually, wasn't one of the hardest workouts that I've ever done, but I have actually cried in like one or two workouts.
It gets emotional.
So I'm really competitive. I grew up a gymnast, so competitiveness is just in my bones. So when the open rolls around, that's a really self-awareness, come to find myself time, both in terms of being competitive, but then also in terms of like how much is this competitiveness like for myself and how much of it is like an idol, if you will. But there have been times when I have done open workouts 2 or 3 times in one day, like when you're coming down to that Monday at like 5 p.m. deadline or 7 p.m. deadline, and have actually cried in the middle of a workout. Not my proudest moment. But
So
any open workout is always really, really tough. I don't know if there's one workout that specifically stands out as far as like my hardest workout. I mean, you could name any of the hero WODs. We did Chad last weekend, but I felt like that one was more mentally tough than it was physically tough. So any workout that really gives you both that mental challenge. I'm a grunt work person, so give me like a 30 to 45 minute workout and I'm happy. But I like things where I can turn my head off and just move and just grunt through it for the next like 45 minutes.
Yeah, Tony's thinking about adding on to that.
Yeah. Obstacle is the way. What workout would be the one that I would think about it in that way? It's funny you asked the question because it was yesterday. So yesterday was from the comp train programming was 5 rounds of Nate. And anybody who doesn't know what Nate is, it's 2 ring muscle ups, 4 handstand push-ups, and then 8 kettlebell swings at 70 pounds. So it's 5 rounds of Nate, then 100 double unders. 4 rounds of Nate, then 100 double unders. 3 rounds, 100, 2 rounds, 100, and then 1. So when I went into the workout, the one thing that I thought of was like, okay, the obstacle, if we could say it that way, the one that's going to be the one that I think I need to get through or look at is like, okay, this is what's going to make me better regardless if I can achieve it, is going to be the ring muscle ups. Just I'm a bigger body. I've never really done gymnastics before. And so in my opinion, that's the one I wanted to focus in on. Even though the volume of handstand push-ups did get me later. It was also in my mind. But so I said, okay, those 5 rounds, those first 5 rounds, I'm gonna do it Nate style. That's when I'm gonna go all out. And I found out once I hit round 4 that it was the wrong decision. And so I missed the intent of the workout. So in post, like I do in many of my workouts and training, I reflect on, okay, did I meet the intent and the stimulus? And then I say to myself, well, in this one, I did not. But what I really took away from it was, okay, well, I couldn't do ring muscle ups or that volume of ring muscle ups ever before, ever. Like you just go to subtract 1 year ago, I couldn't do that. And so, or that volume of handstand push-ups. And so the fact that I decided to look at that as a challenge, and that was the obstacle, just trying to achieve at least some semblance of RX. And then even in the middle, if I had to, which I did, come back off of it, then I thought that's the biggest thing I'd take away. So the obstacle was away, as in, yeah, it was really tough. Decided to challenge myself. And out of that, I learned, like, you know, you're getting better at these gymnastic movements you never could do before in volume. So
I think that really speaks to a culture that's kind of going around CrossFit, maybe the past, year, 2.5 years now, about what's the difference between training, competing, and what's the third one? Practicing.
Practicing, yeah.
You know, you could have gone into those workouts multiple different ways. If you had gone in and just maintained that intent of, I'm going to do Nate and I'm going to go 100% and I'm competing, it's like, okay, well, you would have burnt out and you wouldn't have learned anything about yourself. Yep. But going into it with that mindset, going into it with that, okay, this is where I'm going to get better. And then even I heard you say, like, okay, I adjusted it mid-workout. You were able to practice that and to train for what that's going to look like, you know, down the road when you are in competition. So I think that's really important.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was a much longer workout than it was intended, for sure. But out of that, I definitely learned those things for sure. Yeah, and I think the other one was during 19.3. 19.3, the obstacle was just do this WOD without getting injured. So that I had just come off a back injury. And I was really upset because I was really like training pretty good, and I was like really looking forward to the Open that year. And then I got hurt, recovered as decently as I could, and then we did it. And that WOD was the dumbbell overhead lunges with the handstand push-ups, right? The strict handstand stuff. And the fact that I didn't have it in my mind to just go hard and fast. I just said, just be solid, be consistent, and leave the WOD without injury. And I really performed like super well. Like I was like, wow, man, like I was just focusing on the movement. I was focusing on the technique. I was focusing on what I needed to be successful. And the obstacle in this sense was, I'm injured. I don't know if I really should do this. I'm excited. I want to be a part of the gym and the Open feeling, but you know, that helped me really say, you know what, man, you're in the right lane, you're in the right track, the right way to approach every workout that you see that's a part of you becoming a better athlete in general. So
I can touch a little bit on that too. So I've been CrossFitting, a little bit of background. I've been CrossFitting since 2015, and have always been, you know, in that competitive mindset. But then have dealt with back injuries and continuous things where I would back off a little bit, but then I'd get into a workout and be like, oh, it feels okay, it's fine. And then, you know, get done, and 2 days later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of bed. So I took about 3 months off of CrossFit just due to like personal moving and stuff this past year. And then came back into the gym actually when I started here and was like, oh yeah, I'm right back where I was. And then tweaked my back again. And so I finally went to see a chiropractor again, and they're like, you know, you just need to go back to the beginning and do the small things that are going to make, you know, everything else in your back fire properly. And that was and still is, my biggest obstacle, I think, of being like, I didn't touch a barbell for 3 weeks. I didn't pick up a dumbbell for 3 weeks. And that was really, really hard, especially when you see people in the classes and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to squat clean, or I just want to snatch, or I just want to, you know, I want to jump up on the rings too. Like I can do that. And I hated having to almost like pull myself out of the classes, but I knew if I was in the classes, I would push myself too hard. But that has absolutely been my biggest obstacle so far, is just being like, okay, we're just going to stop. Like we're going to stop picking up barbells. We're going to stop picking up dumbbells. And then since I've started like integrating them back in, it's like, okay, we're doing just the barbell, or we're doing, you know, a 20-pound kettlebell or a 20-pound dumbbell, and not just stop like jumping back into this weight that in my head I can do, but my body and my back is like, no, you need to, we're going to do this right. We're going to do this right this time. That's been really, really hard. But we're getting there.
Super.
slowly but surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know both of you, and I'm glad you mentioned that you've been CrossFitting since 2015. Tony, how long have you been around this CrossFit thing?
Yeah, so in total, just roughly over 4 and some change.
Yeah, so a good bit of time that we're doing this. Some of our audience probably is going to be folks who they may be in their first month, first couple of months, and things like that. So, what advice might you give them as far as having an intent in what they're pursuing, goals and things like that, and what's reasonable? You touched a little bit, Rachel, on the fundamentals and going back and focusing on those and starting from that point. So I wonder if you guys, with your experience, could speak to somebody who is just starting out or thinking about starting out, or they're in the first couple of months. What does this all mean to them?
Oh, wow. You want to take that one first, Rachel?
Sure. I mean, I think back, I was sitting here smiling because I was thinking about my first couple months when I was CrossFitting. My first and foremost advice would be just enjoy it. Like, I remember when I first started, and it almost feels kind of like a blur now because I was like, I want to do everything right now, and how can I spend 6 hours in the gym, and I want to learn this movement and that movement and this movement and that movement. And it was like, now I'm like, oh, everything hurts, and now I have to do this movement, and oh my gosh, we're really doing that today. But just that joy of like learning from the people around you and learning from your coaches. I mean, we have such amazing coaches here. Like, listen to them. They've been doing this for forever. They're here to help you. So really just just diving in, and not necessarily like, don't jump into 7 days a week. Ease yourself in. It's gonna hurt. But I would just say invest in it. Invest in your coaches. They're here for you. Invest in your community. Like, we're not going to give up on you. Like, right. You are, like, we are going to cheer you on through every single rep.
Right. Absolutely.
So I would just say, be present, invest in it. It's hard. There's no denying that it's hard. But the things that it will teach you 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, about yourself, about both your mental capacity and your physical capacity.
That's
like,
so true.
Just, invest in it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I for people, their first month, I just say, be comfortable being uncomfortable for the first times that you're doing this, right? And that's okay. When I first started this, started down the CrossFit regiment of training, if you will, like, I was at a Gold's Gym, and I was just kind of picking up the wad on the whiteboard for CrossFit.com, and I was doing it all by myself. And reflecting back on it, I was like, I was doing everything wrong. I had no clue. So, and it wasn't until I walked in here into Glen Burnie, and I was like, I need to give it a shot. But I was afraid for a number of different reasons, because one of the primary reasons was like, well, I'm not sure, like, if I'm ready to, like, do CrossFit the way in which I'm at least seeing it on on the games level. And so, like, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, am I supposed to be doing all that weight? Like, and I, have been an athlete for my entire life, at least attempting to be. I played basketball my entire life, wanted to play at a higher level of college basketball, played some. And so when I think about, like, putting myself in that mind state, yeah, I'm not in the NBA, but I'm working towards it. And so people who come into Glen Burnie or come into any CrossFit gym, and they're reserved about or hesitant about, what it is they're going to experience, they just need to understand that that's okay, and just trust the process that's going to happen on a day-to-day basis, and focus in on being consistent with just coming in day after day. Take your recovery, listen to the coaching staff, and here the coaching staff does a really great job of trying to touch many different elements, pre, post, WOD, and during. But just trust the process. Go into every day of, like, I'm just going to learn something new, and that learning is going to help me grow, and I'll be better when I leave. And the results will not come tomorrow. Like, if there's a personal training thing that we talk about, like, those results are not going to show up tomorrow. So even if whatever your goals are, be aware that those goals will end up becoming an end. And when they become that end, the question we should ask ourselves is, like, what's the next goal? Rather, like, what is your, I don't say long-term goal, but begin with the end in mind. I love the way that I hear a lot of people talk about that, and some of the books that I read, it beginning with the end in mind. And so if your end in mind is just setting a 15-pound goal, 15-pound loss, and CrossFit can help you with that, and the nutrition can help you with that. Well, when you reach that, like, what's happened? And so it should be a little bit bigger and better as far as, like, I want to just be healthier. And if we just simplify that and then just be consistent in that simplification, maybe what that allows us to do is be okay with every day. Like, yep, I wasn't like the top person on the scoreboard, but that was okay because I had fun. I walked away injury free, and guess what? Like, I'm getting better. That's cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
what I would tell the first, anybody who's just starting it off, for sure.
I would piggyback off of that and just really emphasize that point of, like, try your hardest not to be fearful. I know walking in here, there's equipment everywhere and there's people everywhere, and probably people doing things that you may not have ever seen people doing. But also at the same time, like, we have a really cool opportunity, especially here in this gym, to see people here we have our CrossFit teens, we have older athletes, we have people who have been here for a month, we have people who have been CrossFitting for 6-7 years from the beginning, we have former games athletes. I mean, we have people on all levels of all experience, but we all started somewhere. We all started by just walking in that door, and just taking that first step towards health and fitness. And ultimately, that's our goal for everybody here, regardless of what level any athlete here is in this gym, is we want everybody in this gym to further their health and their fitness and to have a better, like, life longevity.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. What I wanted to, you made me think of something. As I kept coming to Glen Burnie and kept coming every day, and in that first year, efficacy in that first month, I was consistent, and then I fell off consistency as the year went on. But what I found was that as I was more consistent, and I just took my time with progressing in both technique and in movement and in the community, what ended up happening was that those people that were on the top of the whiteboard, I started kind of creeping up on them a little bit, or at least I started seeing myself improving, and it just worked. Like, again, it's your goals or your end state's not going to happen tomorrow. Right. So
yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Something that's, just layering this in here a little bit, that patience and being able to have that patience to know that a little bit is going to add up to a lot. So that you don't have to, get it all, it's all or nothing, all in or nothing. We can be all in by focusing on the fundamentals, by doing the things a little bit at a time, because those little bit of a time are going to get us a lot further down the road than a full stop and a full start and a full stop with a lot of hiatus in the middle. So, I love that. And I also love the idea of really being there for everyone. And I think that's a lot of what makes CrossFits and CrossFit communities different. We've got Tony's walk-on song. So we don't know when we actually play this song, what's going to happen here. He's going to get maybe all pumped up. I don't know. Yeah, so man. Tony, you got your finger on the volume there. Let's go. Okay, we got this thing. Go ahead. I got it queued up. Let's let it marinate for a little bit.
Hey, yo, God, give me a cigarette, man. Yo, here you go. Check it out, man.
Yeah.
Check
So
out what I got here, man.
for all my hip hop CrossFit heads out there, this is it's a classic. So
So we're part of a big community. You were down in Florida for a while, Tony, and with CrossFit Own It. So is there anything you want to share with folks from the bigger community out there, get a message out to them?
For the bigger community, I guess just the entire CrossFit community in general, what I would like to say is I would want to start off with CrossFit Own It really helped change my perspective on the types of communities that I believe that all of our boxes in the CrossFit community at large is all trying to achieve, I think they're in a really awesome position to where a lot of the people that go to that box are all very co-located in the area. The interesting thing about Glen Burnie is that everybody is kind of spread out, and so the ability to have the community that we have with everybody spread out is very interesting and on equaling basis. Like, I mean, imagine if I could walk a mile or 2 miles down the road and the person I just saw yesterday is still, living in my neighborhood. That's pretty cool. And you know, what I've always loved about CrossFit, that my initial thing that I always look for whenever I walk into a box that I just want to visit and be a part of, or just dropping in, is what is the most, you know, are they welcoming? Is everybody there happy to be there? They're not just there just to, you know, run on the treadmill and get home, you know, like, and that communal feel is so awesome. I just read something on Vox.com. They put out an article that talked about CrossFit is the new church. And so the headline is maybe a bit deceiving. But what's interesting about it is that, again, they talked about that communal feel that everybody is looking for. A global gym is not going to provide that for them. And you can tell that because as soon as you walk in, everybody's got their headphones on and everybody's in their own lane. And that's cool too. I mean, that's fine. That's what everybody wants. But, you know, boxes like CrossFit Own and CrossFit Glen Burnie, at least from my own personal experience, it is a second home to me. So that's always very nice to be able to come here, enjoy training with people, enjoy talking with people and building relationships with people and understanding where their paths have led them to here, and then see their growth. And that's always super, super, super exciting. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, Rachel, if you have anything you want to add as far as like the community or, you know, bigger picture things.
Yeah. I've been really, really blessed and fortunate. I started out in Texas with two just phenomenal gyms. My original gym that I started at CrossFit Urban Jungle, and then I transitioned to CrossFit Big D down in Dallas. And both of them, I mean, just the coaches investing in you, the community. I mean, you know, I've experienced life in my gyms. You know, it's kind of like Tony was saying, and I know I've gotten to that here too. It's the first thing I look at when I walk in a gym. It's, you know, are you welcoming your members? Like, people are saying hi, you're getting introduced in the first class. And, you know, as embarrassing as that is, being the new person, there's also a sense of like, okay, like, you know, I feel like I'm walking in. And so like, I mean, that's just really by far the most important piece to me is, you know, I spend my life at work and then I spend my life here, right? So it's like, you know, I'm not just here coming in for an hour, putting in my headphones in and leaving. Like, we do life together here, you know? And I think that's, I mean, when people ask me about CrossFit, they're like, oh, you guys just lift weights really fast. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. First of all, we do it with good technique. But second of all, like, it is just the community. Like, you can see it international. I've CrossFitted at different boxes internationally. It could be a different language, and it's still just, you're like accepted into this different breed of people when you walk into a CrossFit gym. And there's something to be said about suffering together, especially your 5 a.m., your 6 a.m. I mean, you know, people are rolling out of bed. You're working out alongside CEOs, military, you know, name your person. But when you're rolling out of bed at 5 a.m., you're walking in here with no makeup on, no, like, I have to prove this. You're just coming in here and putting your head down and working and suffering alongside each other. Like, man, like.
I'd love to add on to that. You know, I think I've shared this with you before, Bob. I guess I'd share it out to the larger CrossFit community or anybody who's out there in the internets. But, you know, was really, when I joined the Army, I'm a military guy, I've got 20 years of service now. When I first joined, the big thing for me was that the Army does is they get you in shape, right? So they got to take all the averages of the world and put them into shape. And so when I first got to my first unit, when I got there, you know, I really enjoyed, as much as I hated it every day, but I did enjoy, like, working out in a platoon size formation and doing other things with other people. And as I progressed throughout my career and experienced different types of units, other units were tighter than others, but the one commonality, or at least a common bonding element, was you could sweat together and you could be dirty together and you could go through some harsh times together. And maybe it's not as severe here in the CrossFit community, but the one thing that I know for sure from just a person's perspective is that the people that come in here, for whatever reasons they're coming into a CrossFit gym, when they get on the floor and the coach is in front of them and teach them new movements, or they're getting and grinding through a workout, you know, you are sweating and you're suffering and you don't want to do it, but you know it's healthy for you, and other people around you are having the same experience. Right. And so when you have that same experience with somebody, you're able to really shed away the personas that we put on when we walk outside. And when we walk outside, we got to put the walls up or not. And here the walls are down. And everybody gets exposed in many different ways, right? Yeah. I was exposed yesterday in my workout, and I was like, I shouldn't have done that. But had I had somebody next to me who was doing something else, I could then share in what I could have done better or how I was growing. And every box is that way. And, there was, I talk about Own It quite often when I was down at Own It. Those guys, man, it's a constant grind with them every day. And those bonds are really strong. And we have that here too. And it's, that is... if you walk away every day and say, you know what, man, maybe I'm not getting as good as I can, but I can count on people there to keep me accountable for me to just, at a minimum, be consistent every day. Like that's pretty impressive. I don't find that anywhere else. And so that was a very attracting feel to me as a service member coming into a box like this and being able to share that with, like you said, I think it's great. Like so many different types of walks of life coming in. Yeah. Right. And then you connecting with, like you said, like a CEO that's just trying to do the same thing that you're doing. It's pretty cool.
And I think it's, even to add on even more to that, like I was thinking about this yesterday because the class workout was a team workout. And I was like, part of it was some competitiveness, right? But then the other part of it is like, you just push that much more with other people. Yeah. And you're, you are fighting and you are grinding and you're like, well, I don't want to let my partners down. I don't want to let my team down. Yeah. Like, I'm not getting off this, I'm not dropping the wall ball. I'm not putting the kettlebell down. Like, I'm going to hold on like the fat, so it's
just a reminder. Rachel's competitive.
Oh yeah. She sure is.
For anyone who's forgot that from the beginning part of the podcast.
It's funny. You talk about that from yesterday. I walked in yesterday and I just wanted to do some midline work. Yesterday was the last thing I had on my training to do. And
ask him how that turned out.
Yeah, it didn't turn out very well. It's probably not that great. I'm sure every CrossFitter goes through it, but I saw Chris Felsky and we were neighbors for so long, and now we just live in the neighborhood. But when I see him again, he's been here for quite some time, and I see him and I'm like, dude, hey, you know what? I'm gonna work out with you today, and then we did, and it was. I had super fun. Like I had super fun. I didn't even think about but it was super fun. So.
I would say that some of my most enjoyable workouts are the ones where I don't put myself under any particular stress.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The barbell will be what it is. Yep. The movements will be what they are. My goal is just to finish. My goal is just to keep moving. I want to feel good and just be me. And if that also, not only is that the most enjoyable workout for me, it also probably is the most effective workout. As far as like having the right level of intensity and things like that. Yeah. But
well, absolutely, and to take that point even further, it's, we have so much fun in here. I mean, ask me about Boy Band Wednesdays. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Like
7 years we've had it. How many times? Twice.
Hey, we're making it a thing.
Has it happened more than that?
I think it's making, yeah.
Yes, we're making it a thing. But, that's the other part of it too, right? Like we come in here, we get more fit, we get healthier, we lift each other up, and we're having fun doing it. Yeah. Like, okay, yes, we might end up on the floor for like a few minutes, but then we all, get up off the floor and we're like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be back.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. You look like you got destroyed by those burpees. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Let's come back and do it again.
It was great.
It's crazy.
See you at 6:30 tomorrow.
What's wrong with us?
Yeah. You're like throwing up or something and you're just dying, and then you're like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning. You're going to be there, right? So
yeah, I love it.
It's just so much fun.
Do you guys have anything else you want to add? I mean, I think this has been pretty good discussion. We're going to have more little impromptu things, thinking of doing them on Saturdays and things like that. Just catch 15 minutes here and there, because the perspective that everyone has is going to be a little bit different, but it's going to also help us to understand a little bit better about who we are and how we work together and things like that. So hopefully we'll get some teens on here and get their perspective. We'll get some folks that have been doing CrossFit for a month or so and see what their experiences are like, and it'll remind us of things when we started and stuff like that. And we'll just keep this conversation going. With that being said, I'm going to give you guys, if you got anything else you want to add, let's do it.
I guess my only thing is considering this is a special day for you specifically, Bob, and the gym at large, congratulations. I mean, 7 years to be around in any business is a long time. And so that's really awesome. So congratulations to you. And, I usually want to give a shout out, but I won't give out shout outs. Maybe next time.
It'd be a long list.
It
right?
would be definitely a long list.
And then there's always that one person you forget, and you're like,
that's right.
Man,
oh man, dang it. So
forgot to mention my mother.
Rachel, thank you for doing this impromptu.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Bob, for inviting me to do this. I really look forward to the next one. I didn't think I was going to enjoy podcasts. I listen to a lot of them.
Isn't that pretty cool?
I listen to a lot of them. I'm like, I don't know, podcasts, like what's going to make ours special? You know what's special is the fact that you can just do one. That's
you can just sit down and have a conversation. And I learned a lot about each of you today, and I hope others did as well. And thank you guys. Take care.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Professional over here.
Well, everything I do is professional, especially when I recover.
Oh, it's phenomenal.